So, moving right along through the Fire and Stone saga, we now come to the fourth part, which is Predator. Now, Predator Fire and Stone is written by Joshua Williamson, who most of you guys would know best for currently being the head writer on The Flash in DC Rebirth. But he was mostly known for doing a lot of action horror stuff, like Nailbiter and there's another one I know he did, but I'm forgetting the name. But he was mostly known for doing like action horror. So really, this was kind of doing Predator was kind of in his Williams' wheelhouse. I've also completely forgotten to mention all the other names, but yeah, it's the biggest names in this actually are like in Fire and Stone, which is kind of a criminal thing because a lot of these writers and artists are really damn good on this whole project. It made Fire and Stone just an amazing thing to read through. So, anyway, let's get into the story of Predator Fire and Stone. Now, Predator Fire and Stone takes place right after the events of AVP Fire and Stone, in which a Predator, an Elder, by the way, has managed to sneak aboard the ship that had managed to get away from Eldon's attack, Eldon the Xenomorph's attack in search of Francis, which, by the way, someone commented in the previous AVP, the previous Fire and Stone review, talking about, it's kind of weird that, it's kind of like Deadpool in the sense that a guy named, some guy who was mutated by an accident, and is hunting a guy named Francis who caused that mutation. Oh, it was not lost on me, people. That was, that bit of information, was not lost on me in the slightest. So, when I thought about it, like, reading through it, I was like, oh, yeah, that does make sense. Huh, that's funny. Anyway, so after the events of AVP Fire and Stone, Predator Fire and Stone, like I said, takes place after what happened there, and the remains of the mercenary team, led by Galgo, who has still has the engineer gun, finds out that there's a Predator on board his ship, and after the Predator, and subsequently he kills one of his friends, the Predator captures him and wants to use him as bait for his ultimate prey. The ultimate prey being an engineer. That's right, we've got a fight between the Predator. It's a Predator versus Engineer comic. It's something you'd think you'd never see, right? So in this, let's talk a bit about the Predator, who's given the name Ahab. Ahab is a badass. It's not often that we see elders in, we do see elders in comics. I think the last time we had a major Predator elder in, the Dark Horse comics was Top Knot, who, appeared in the original AVP comic. And that was about it. That was really... We've had elders before, but they never really played a big shot in here. So Ahab is something new. And he's not like your typical elder. He's more like, I'm going to go out and get shit done. He's not like directing anybody. He's more like, I want to go out and get shit done. And, yeah, the engineer is his white whale. I like about it because you do see that, even though he speaks in his language, you can clearly see by his facial expressions as well as his, body in general is that he has gone through some shit in his lifetime. He has taken on some serious shit in his lifetime. Anywho, what was I gonna say? So yeah, him and Galgo, he forces Galgo to take him back to LV-223 so he can hunt one of the engineers. This is a really fun comic in that Galgo and Ahab have this interesting thing where it's like, imagine Han and Chewie if they tried to kill each other. Well, I mean, I know they tried to kill each other now in continuity thanks to Solo, a Star Wars story, but imagine that. It's kind of like that, but actually, the whole feel of the comic is more action than horror, really. And it actually feels like a sci-fi version of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. And that's what they were apparently going for with this comic, was a kind of Western feel, with Ahab and Galgo being the dual roles of Clint Eastwood. That's how they kind of pitched it, and it works! It's also nice to see that, in here we get Galgo returning and seeing Captain Foster again. It's not, that little dynamic, and she does not take any of his shit, because, yeah, I'd be pissed too if everyone just, took off without me. If everyone, and half my crew is dead, and, you left me for a profit, so, yeah, she's justifiably pissed off at him. And that's what I like, is that everyone is pissed off or angry for a reason in here. Everyone has a reason to be angry. It's not like, oh, I'm just emotional because the story needs it to be. No, it's not like that. So, the whole comic is pretty much, because in each part of Fire and Stone, it's a 4-part comic. So, in this one, it's the first 3 issues are more or less build up to Ahab, the Predator, hunting down a engineer. And how he gets around to getting to one is really interesting. Even Galgo, I haven't talked much about in these past reviews, but I guess I'll talk about him now. Galgo's an asshole, but at the same time you can kind of see that, yeah, I can see why you are kind of looking for numero uno these days. But his dynamic with Ahab is really cool, and I'm not really cool with the idea of I'm usually not okay with the whole humans and predators teaming up. I just kind of like predators killing people. But still, it is neat in how they explain it, in that, yeah, they kind of need each other in this. And there's like a mutual respect between Ahab and the humans in this comic. So I kind of dug that, really. I really dug that. Also, when we get to the final issue of this story arc, where the Predator and the Engineer face off, Jesus fucking Christ, what a fight. Like, it was, like, yeah, 3 issues of building up to a Yautja Engineer brawl. It was definitely worth the wait, because the brawl itself is bloody, it's action-packed, and it's exactly what you would want in a fight like this. Something, again, like you'd never think you'd see. And I'm pretty sure, like, when the Dark Horse editors were sitting down and talking about what they wanted to do with Fire and Stone, because this was the first one where they would introduce the elements of Prometheus into the AVP comics, there was probably a lot of talk of them, this was probably a major thing in the talk, is that, yeah, at some point we've got to have a Predator face-off with an Engineer. At some point we have got to have a Predator-Engineer fight. And that's exactly what this comic gives you at the end. The artwork in here is it's done by 2 different artists, both of which are escaping my name. Both names are escaping, sorry. Tripped over my own words. But the main thing in here is that, yeah, it goes back to the kind of grunginess of this comic, where this one's a little more grungier than the other ones, but this one really shows the kind of like grit, the grittiness to how this story is. That really fits with me, honestly. Yeah, this is like a fun action ride. This is a really good Predator comic. I would recommend to read it. I can't really recommend to read this on its own, because there is a lot of elements in here that you have to read through to understand this. It's not like with Alien Fire and Stone, where I feel like you could read Alien Fire and Stone all on its own and still feel like you could read a story in and of itself. So yeah, that's kind of the thought process. So anyway, there you go, guys. Hope you all enjoyed this review, and you guys tell me, what did you think of this comic? And yeah, I will see you guys later.